This is Investing Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman. I'm speaking with Robin Goad, President and CEO of Fortune Minerals, a development stage mining company advancing its NICO critical minerals project in Canada's Northwest Territories. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you, Marilyn. Glad to be here.
Yes, really happy to speak with you. Given your focus on critical minerals resource development, and as you know, the US and Canadian governments are both advancing policies to boost domestic supply chains for critical minerals. Where does the NICO project fit in this current dynamic?
So the NICO project is a vertically integrated critical minerals project. There are three critical minerals contained in the deposit: cobalt, bismuth, and copper. But we also have over 1 million ounces of in situ gold, which adds a fairly significant counter-cyclical hedge for critical mineral price volatility. So in the Northwest Territories, we'll have an open pit and underground mine up in and a concentrator, which will produce concentrates, which we'll ship down to a hydrometallurgical facility or refinery, which will be built in Alberta's Industrial Heartland Association. That's a group or community of municipalities that have the municipal planning approvals already in place for heavy industry, and it's an existing petrochemicals and critical minerals processing hub. So, answering your question more specifically, the NICO project ticks a lot of boxes for both the Canadian and the U.S. governments. So there are three critical minerals, as we mentioned. Two of those have very significant supply chain concerns. Both the cobalt and the bismuth, their supply chains dominated by China, and also the cobalt in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So having a North American supply is very important. So having a vertically integrated project with midstream and downstream processing ensures that the critical minerals that we produce will be available for North American industry. For example, the cobalt, about 75% of the supply is mined in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and about over 80% of the refinery production comes from China. Same thing for bismuth, where 80% of bismuth supply is mined in China, and also refinery production's 90%. So having a North American supply, particularly with 12% of the global reserves of bismuth, makes our supply chains much stronger in North America, and having custody and control of the metals for domestic industries. The other boxes we tick, having the mine and the concentrator up in the Northwest Territories. This is a jurisdiction that is dependent on mining. About 45% of direct and indirect GDP comes from mining. And the mines that are currently producing, there are three diamond mines, are all at the very ends of their production lives. So we need new production to sustain not only the tax base, but also the jobs and economic opportunities of mining. The mining in the Northwest Territories also provides legacy infrastructure. So the roads and the power supplies and airstrips that we will construct for our project will be there for public benefit, but also for northern sovereignty, because we are a project that's located in the north. The refinery is a good example of the benefit is not only the midstream processing for the supply of these critical minerals, but also to having that refinery will attract additional feed sources. And we have a process collaboration with Rio Tinto that will take intermediates produced from the Kennecott smelter in Utah and do the final processing for cobalt and bismuth products at the Alberta refinery. So this is a good example of build it and they will come. And then, of course, there's Indigenous participation as well. The project is in an area in the Northwest Territories which has a settled land claim and a self-government agreement with the Tlicho. So having Indigenous support for the project also ticks a lot of boxes. So the project not only produces critical minerals, but also has a lot of benefits for both the Canadian and the U.S. governments.
Very interesting point, especially the midstream processing aspect of it. There's certainly in Canada, with the current environment, the nation building projects that Prime Minister Mark Carney has launched. There's lots of momentum there. How is Fortune Minerals leveraging the momentum from the government to boost these projects?
So Fortune was it was the first Canadian project to secure U.S. Department of Defense financing. And that financing was matched also by the Canadian government to the tune of approximately $17 million from the contributions coming from the U.S. Department of Defense, Natural Resources Canada, and also Alberta Innovates. And that funding is taking the NICO project to a construction decision. The capital markets are effectively closed right now for private sector financing. So having that government funding was essential to take this project to the next level. The money is being used to pay most of the cost for an updated feasibility study, feed engineering, the final permits for the Alberta refinery site, and the management plans and some of the other gaps that we have in the permitting for the Northwest Territory site, including a participation agreement with the Toledo government. So there's commonly a bit of a gap for greenfield exploration up to the construction level, when feasibility studies are being done. So these financing contributions coming from governments are filling that gap, and hopefully take our project to a construction decision at the end of next year.
Beyond government funding, could you talk about some other supports that you think are necessary for meaningful advancements in North America's critical mineral supply chains?
Yeah, so there are a number of programs that are being implemented. I also mentioned that we have this process collaboration with Rio Tinto, and I think between the government support and having the validation of the second largest mining company in the world as a process partner, they came to us looking for a process solution for some bismuth, particularly that was in waste products being produced at the Kennecott smelter. So we provided not only the knowledge of both the market and the process, but also building that refinery that enables a process solution for that material. Rio Tinto is trying to achieve total ore body effectiveness, which means that we capture all the value we can from our ores and concentrates. And they also wanted to be seen to be working with the U.S. government on supply chain resilience and security for important critical minerals that are needed in new technologies, the energy transition, and also defense.
And you've talked a lot about what's happening around the NICO project. Maybe this is a good time to provide an update on our investors on the progress of the NICO project and moving forward. What's the plan ahead?
So again, we are trying to basically come to a project construction decision in late 2026. Which is only really a year from now. We have an updated feasibility study in progress. The permitting work is all in progress. We've identified a number of process optimizations which were important in reducing capital and operating costs for the project. So all of that test work has been very successful to date. We're expanding our management team, and you'll be seeing some evidence of that shortly. We also have an option to purchase an important site in Alberta's industrial heartland where we're going to build the hydrometallurgical facility, and you should see some news very soon on how that is going to be completed, as well as the financing solution to complete that. We're continually engaging with governments. We think that governments in the future will be an important source of financing. There's a good example of a successful financing in the United States recently in MP Materials, which had an elegant solution involving the U.S. Department of Defense, which is going to purchase the materials. They've also actually made an equity investment in the project, and they also brought in offtake for the materials, as we stated, and brought in Apple as an investor as well. And that was a very unique and a good example of how we need to be innovative in finding financial solutions for some of these critical minerals projects. We also hope that we'll be expanding our relationships with large companies like Rio Tinto. And so there's quite a bit of news flow that's expected over the next 12 months, particularly as we complete some of these programs that are underway. And the ultimate solution will be if we come up with project financing and show a clear pathway to production from our asset.
Do you have any final thoughts, final message that you'd like to provide our investors, address why it's the right time to invest in the NICO project and Fortune Minerals?
I think ultimately the mid-processing is very important. We like to think of our project as being a refinery with a captive mineral resource, not just vertically integrated. So, and a good example again is the fact that we've been able to attract Rio Tinto for other products or other feed sources that we'll be able to process. We think there's also an opportunity in recycling and processing other materials from projects that can't afford their own processing plant. But really what's attractive about our project is the interesting mix of commodities. You know, the cobalt is essential for the energy transition in supplying the cathode materials for lithium-ion batteries, which go into the electric cars. And these batteries are also used in electronic devices and stationary storage. The bismuth is a really unique metal. It's one of the metals that actually China cut off the Western world from recently, and the price escalated from about $6 or $7 per pound up to more than $40 per pound. It's now settled out at around $16 to $17 a pound, and it's been staying there. When China cut off the Western world from bismuth, all of the Magnificent Seven companies were in a bit of a state of panic because the soldering pastes that are essential for artificial intelligence data centers and having high-speed electrical interconnects, you had to have bismuth because it has high electrical conductivity and low thermal conductivity, which is used in very powerful data center applications. So we're quite excited about some of those applications. The other one that's important from an environmental perspective is the use of bismuth in making proper seals for decommissioned oil and gas wells so you don't have greenhouse gas leakage. And that leverages the fact that bismuth expands when cooled. So the bismuth is really excited. We have 12% of the global reserves. It's the largest deposit of bismuth in the world. And then when you couple that with 1.1 million ounces of gold, that has a value of more than 5 billion Canadian dollars in the ground right now. And the gold price just continues to seem to escalate. And what I like to point to is that you have a counter-cyclical and highly liquid hedge to mitigate the risk from critical minerals volatility. So diverse applications. If you had only a cobalt project, you'd be looking at lower prices today. But today, for Fortune, bismuth prices are higher. Gold prices are hitting new highs as well. And so that diversification of or polymetallic nature of our mineral deposit, you get some insulation from the risks that might be associated with having only one metal in your deposit.
We'll leave it at that. Certainly, diversity is key. Thanks again, Robin, for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you, Marilyn. It's been a pleasure.
And thanks everyone for watching. Join us again next time in Investing Insights.